Following an extended period of conferring his insight to his group of 20 understudies, Mr. Zemet, the way of thinking educator, chooses to test the abilities of the graduating seniors on their last day of school. He expresses that while the information they presently have will assist them with having a decent existence in the rest of the world, it is additionally critical to contemplate what might occur, assuming the world, as they probably are aware, basically fails to exist one day. For this, Mr. Zemet proposes a psychological test that drives the class to envision the world closure and taking sanctuary in a dugout for a year to survive the radiolog ICAL impacts of the nuclear holocaust anyway, since the exceptional and completely supplied shelter can protect just 10 individuals for a year, and the class has 21 individuals including Mr. Zemet. He requires the disposal of the undeserving contender. To save humanity from termination, to choose the value of his understudies, Mr. Zemet gets everybody to haphazardly draw cards from a crate that relegates different callings to them. The smartest understudy in class, Petra, will be an underlying specialist, while her sweetheart James is a natural rancher. Different callings incorporate a couple of valuable ranges of abilities like that of a woodworker, an electrical expert, or a muscular specialist, and furthermore, a couple of others, like a realtor, a mutual funds chief, and a style creator, which would basically be of no genuine use notwithstanding a real debacle in a stunning move. Mr. Zemet Krui closes the existence of the understudy who was picked. Being a distributed writer, he legitimizes this demonstration by saying that they must be quick and ruthless, while filling the shelter with genuinely significant abilities. In the event that we're to view saving humanity in a serious way, he specifies that he will stay a special case through the examination, and that no one will realize his definite range of abilities. The class then, at that point, continues to decide on the shelter spaces in light of the positive places of their callings, while Georgina, the muscular specialist, is effortlessly casted a ballot in Russell. The harpist is removed in the wake of deciding to acknowledge the apparently significant expert abilities of a craftsman, electrical expert, representative natural rancher, science researcher, psychotherapist, primary architect, and fighter the class. Then, at that point, continues on to choosing the last shelter occupant, picking either a show vocalist and Mr. Zemet with his undisclosed abilities. Mr. Zemet, in the end, wins the last space in the shelter to save the excess understudies from confronting their finishes by radiation. Mr. Zemet closes them all similarly as the harassed prior to seeing his fierce ways. Petra tells the gathering that she would rather not enjoy a whole year in that frame of mind with somebody like Mr. Zemet. Hearing this, James, the natural rancher of the gathering, gets everybody to assemble harvests and spices from their environmental factors and sets a mysterious strategy in motion as needs be. Joined collectively of 9 against their educator, everybody accumulates at the dugout before time and effectively locks Mr. Zemet out sometime later. Petra gets to the entry of the fortification and sees Mr. Zemet in the repercussions of the nuclear blasts. He holds up a note saying that he realizes the leave code of the shelter, the remainder of the gathering. Then, at that point, talks about whether their instructor is tell the truth, yet they have no real way to be aware, without a doubt, other than to endure the remainder of the year in the shelter. In spite of being just 9 individuals in the shelter rather than 10 questions about their educator's rationale and his special case range of abilities bring about the possible destruction of the gathering, remaining in the fortification turns out to be an exercise in futility. Since after over a year spent in the shelter, they couldn't leave the dugout without a leave code as they run out of food and different supplies, the gathering at last meets its end. Back in class, Mr. Zemet uncovers his calling to have been a shelter developer, which makes sense of why just he realized the leave code. After the fruitless run of the psychological test, he proposed a second round, since the class currently had a superior thought of the whole circumstance, while the end of the world and the fortification continue as before. This time, too, it occurs at another area, and with an extra curve, Mr. Zemet adds, delivering no less than 1 sound. Child during the year in the fortification is a necessity for an effective round to additional power. Do you want to see part 2 of this video? Subscribe to the channel and comment part 2. Thanks for watching. I would see you at part 2.